Today, the world we live in is fast-paced and ever-changing. We need a senator who will lead us into the future. We need courage. We need integrity. We need someone who won't walk away from trouble. We need Bag of Leaves. Cast your vote to elect Bag of Leaves in the midterm elections.
If you're not voting, then who are you electing?
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome to the 2007 South Carolina Baseball Season Preview Show, brought to you by Capital City Sports. In the next half hour, we'll take a look into the upcoming baseball season and tell you who and what to look out for.
There's a certain air around USC's baseball team this season. With a mix of 6 returning starters in the field, a bevy of pitchers, and the nation's top recruiting class, a lot will be expected of the Gamecocks this season. Coach Ray Tanner has been to Omaha 3 times during his stay with the Gamecocks and hopes to make the trip again this season.
Well, I think that this team's good enough, talent-wise, but, you know, it's projection, it's potential, and that's something that hasn't happened. So you have to go out and do it between the lines, and, you know, we may fall short of that, but I think the talent level is good enough for good things to happen. But, you know, that's a lot of talking. You got to go play between the lines.
Talent is one thing that USC can rely on this season. All SEC members Robbie Grindstaff, Reese Havens, and Win Pelzer joined freshman All-Americans Andrew Crisp and Justin Smoke to form the core of this South Carolina team. Coach Tanner spoke about the growth of his young freshmen coming into the season.
Well, I think 2 areas. I think one, the anticipation and anxiety that they might have had, even though it was positive, is behind them, and they're much stronger. They're more physical than they were a year ago. The season they went through, the Cape Cod League, I think they're a little more poised to be successful individually and to help this team.
The growth of these young players will be instrumental in the Gamecocks' run through a tough SEC conference. They hope to improve upon their 15-15 record in the SEC last season.
You look at the polls, and I guess in one publication there were 12 teams in the top 50 and 10 in the top 30 in another poll. Florida 2 years ago played in the national championship game, and they struggled big time last year. It's a very small distance between the outhouse and the penthouse, and it's tough. It's a great league. The good news is if you can survive the league and get a chance to play at the end of the year, you got a chance because you played good competition throughout.
The Gamecocks returned 2 starters from last season, Harris Honeycutt and Mike Cisco. Both pitchers chipped in 7 wins apiece last season and should be joined by left-hand pitcher Eric Hempy by midseason. Hempy started last season on a tear, recording a 2.56 ERA in 7 starts before undergoing Tommy John surgery. Junior Win Pelzer should anchor the bullpen this season. He started 8 games in 2006, but the coaches hope to use him out of the bullpen this season.
You'd really like to lead Pelzer in the bullpen, right? I mean,
no question, no question. We'd like to have him down there for 3 outs, 4 outs, maybe not more than 6, but he's pretty good in that role, and it's just not the same when you end up having to throw 80, 90, 100 pitches sometimes. It's not the same for anybody, so we'd love to keep him down there.
During the 2007 season, the Gamecocks hope to build on the tradition they have established during Coach Ray Tanner's stay. With the trip to the College World Series this season, South Carolina may finally establish themselves as a perennial superpower. A new stadium will usher in the new era of Gamecocks baseball in 2008. Adjacent to the Congaree River, this state-of-the-art facility will be home to Gamecock baseball for years to come.
Just a little bit over a year, we'll be playing in one of the finest facilities in the country, and it's great for our fans, for our players, the city of Columbia. So we're ecstatic. You always hear that good things are worth waiting for, and this site took a little time to get there, but it is the best. Dr. Sorensen played a major role in that, and you couldn't pick a better site. We're down by the river. There's going to be so much energy there, so it's a home run, no doubt.
Sarge Fry Field has served the Gamecocks well over its lifetime. In the past 7 years alone, the Gamecocks have recorded 263 wins in their home stadium. With 30 home wins this season, the Gamecocks give the Sarge a farewell gift with its 750th win. The Sarge was also ranked 6th in attendance last season, averaging approximately 3,800 per game. Up next, we step up to the plate and take a look at the Gamecocks lineup headed into the 2007 season. And later in the show, we break down the guys who will take the hill this coming season. All that and more coming up after the break.
What's it like when you hear your calling? Will you remember where you were? Will you ignore it? Or will you listen? What if it calls you to go halfway around the world? To share your skills? To serve people you've never met? To do things you never thought you could? What will you do when you hear your calling? Peace Corps, life is calling. How far will you go?
The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw?
Welcome back to our preview of USC's upcoming baseball season. Now we'll look into the lineups and see how they're going to flesh out this year, and also take a look at some of the guys in the field.
The Gamecocks returned 6 of 8 starters in the field from last year, so there was not a lot of holes to fill, but this is the look you should see early this season. Trent Klein will get the nod at catcher and likely fill the 2-hole for most of the season. Justin Smoke returns at first base and will be the big bat in the middle of the order. Junior college transfer Travis Jones will fill a hole at second base. Jones won the job in fall drills and has the makings of a great leadoff hitter. Reese Havens returns at shortstop for his sophomore season. Along with his great glove, Havens should provide a great bat in the bottom of the order. At third base, sophomore James Darnell should get the majority of the starts, but may share time with center fielder Andrew Crisp. Out in left field, Robbie Grindstaff should have the job locked up. He has suffered some injuries in this preseason, but should return to the lineup in the next few weeks. In center, freshman All-American Andrew Crisp will get the nod. Crisp hit .328 last season and should provide another big bat in the meat of the lineup. And finally, filling the hole in the outfield, the highly rated Lonnie Chisenhall has locked up a starting job. He had a great first 2 weekends and will be looked upon for offensive production throughout the season.
Well, going into the year, the team has been highly ranked in national publications, as just as high as third or second in the country. And the team has a good outlook, considering we have 6 position starters back, and very highly regarded recruiting class ranked number 1 by Collegiate Baseball, number 2 by Baseball America. So the outlook is pretty positive for the baseball team for 2007.
Freshman All-American, cleanup hitter, preseason All-American. All these things describe Gamecock first baseman Justin Smoak. This power-hitting sophomore out of Goose Creek, South Carolina started every game in his freshman campaign. And a year after setting freshman records in home runs and RBIs, Smoak will be looked upon to carry South Carolina this season.
He's one that everyone expects to be a leader on and off the field, and he's really made an impact on the team and in the locker room, and expect great things for him this year. He takes a great approach every day when he's out there at practice or in a game. He's got a very good approach and a good rapport with the team, and I think that will only help as we get along throughout the season, his experience and his value that he has as a member of the team.
During the summer, Smoak was named MVP and top prospect out of the Cape Cod Summer League. With a successful freshman year and Summer League under his belt, Smoak hopes to make even bigger waves this season.
Well, I mean, starting last spring, I had a tough fall last fall, and getting adjusted to the college game. And last spring, I was still struggling early on. About halfway through the year, it kind of clicked for me a little bit. And ever since then, it's just been the game's kind of slowed down for me. It's been a lot, not like easier for me, but it just slowed down a lot. And it's been great. This summer helped out a lot, and going into this spring, it's gonna be good for us.
Who would fill the hole at second base was a big question coming into this season. Junior college transfer Travis Jones gave the Gamecocks the answer. Coming in from Lake City Community College, Jones earned the respect of Coach Ray Tanner during the fall drills.
Yeah, he's not under my radar. He's at the top of the charts. He's a guy that I have great respect for. I've said this before. Probably the second day of practice, I told the coaches, this guy's going to start for me. I don't know if he's going to be good enough, but he's going to start. He comes to work every day, and he has a great attitude about this game. He loves it. He has passion for it, and he's pretty good. So I'm happy to be able to put him in that leadoff spot. I think he's a great table setter for us.
I know he was.
And this guy gets dirty and he plays hard, and that's a good trait to have, and that'll give you some lineup protection for me.
Not only has Jones's hard work gained respect from Coach Tanner, but he's also rubbed off on some of his teammates. Here's what Reese Havens had to say about his new partner in the middle.
Travis Jones, great guy to have in the middle. He's a spark plug out there, rubs off in a positive way on the other team, all the guys on the team, and I think that just you can't ask for much more out of a guy than what you get out of Travis Jones.
Look for Jones at the top of the order this season as he tries to set the table for the big bats that follow. He can play right field, he can hit, and he can even pitch. All of this coming from freshman Lonnie Chisenhall. Selected as the #1 incoming freshman in the country, Chisenhall comes to South Carolina after being selected in the 11th round by the Pittsburgh Pirates. North Carolina's Player of the Year, Chisenhall hit .574 in his senior year in high school and has already batted as high as 3rd in the order this season. Here's what teammate Justin Smoak had to say about him.
He's a great hitter. He's a balanced hitter. He can hit the ball to all fields. He basically is a type of hitter. Whatever it's pitched is where he's going to hit it to. And so, he's a great hitter, and he's going to be a great player for us.
Chisenhall will be expected to provide a great deal of offensive production for the Gamecocks this season. South Carolina native Reese Havens enters his sophomore season hoping to build on a solid first year. Havens was the cornerstone of a great Gamecocks defense last season, committing only 9 errors. He also had a strong summer playing in the Cape Cod Summer League, earning All-Star honors and also being named the 16th best prospect in the league. As one of the Gamecocks captains this year, Havens will be looked upon for leadership on and off the field.
Reese Havens is one of our captains on our team this year, and that shows what respect he has in the locker room from his teammates. And he's just improved defensively since he came into the program last year as a freshman, and it's even better on defensively. Hopefully his battle will continue to get going for us, and we'll be able to provide more power than he did last season. But that year experience will definitely help him as he's going through the whole 56-game regular season schedule and into the postseason.
Havens not only garners respect from his teammates, but should draw more attention from opponents this season. With some increased output from his bat, this year's lineup should be one to reckon with.
Coming up after the break, we'll let you know who's going to be atop the mound for the Gamecocks this season. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you have to go number 1 or number 2?
Hey! Hey! What is your problem, man?
You're welcome.
What the heck is wrong with you?
What do you mean?
Don't give me that! All right, what's going on here, fellas?
The missile was about to hit the school. I just acted as fast as I could.
That doesn't change the fact that I don't have a car anymore. Who just throws a person's car at a missile?
You're serious?
Yeah, who's gonna pay for my car?
I guess I could.
Do you even have a real job?
Yes.
Do you have insurance?
I saw the whole thing. Call me.
Frozen Peas, respected member of our community for years, determined to always do just the right thing, committed to support the growth of our children, and effective at lowering bad cholesterol. Frozen Peas, courage, integrity, fresh ideas. This message paid for by the Friends of Frozen Peas.
If you're not voting, then who are you electing?
The Gamecocks returned 10 pitchers from last year, and their pitching staff hopes to anchor a deep run into the postseason. Let's send it over to Capital City Sports' own Jonathan Hilliard for more.
Pitching has been a problem in recent years for the Gamecocks. Pitching coach Mark Calvin and crew hope to right that ship this season. With a solid core consisting of Harris Honeycutt, Mike Cisco, and Jay Brown, USC's pitching staff should be able to compete alongside the best teams in the nation.
Well, the starting rotation this year has a little more experience than it did last year. You know, last year we were having to try to figure some things out with our rotation. This year we have guys back who did pitch in big games last year. Harris Honeycutt, he won regional and super regional games against Virginia and Georgia. Mike Cisco, an SEC all-freshman team guy. A guy who also won a regional game against Evansville. Those guys are back from last year, and they seem like they're ready to go. We have a newcomer in Jay Brown. Jay Brown looks really good in his first weekend at Wilmington. He could be a sleeper on this team and a possible draft pick at the end of the year after his junior season. And, of course, we got the return of Eric Hempy. We can't forget about Hempy. He started last year and was on his way to having a very good high draft possibility with the Major League Draft in June, but then he had Tommy John surgery. We hope to have him back and getting innings going and be really ready for us when we make that stretch run and are trying to win an SEC championship and play for a possible berth into Omaha in the College World Series.
Coming out of the bullpen, Will Atwood and Wynn Pelzer should provide a great deal of relief.
Also got Pelzer out there in the bullpen, played some of the closer role this weekend. Is that going to be his role this season?
Absolutely, as of now. I mean, that's where the coaches like him. That's where he was the most successful on our team, I think, last year, even though he did have a couple good starts for us when our rotation, when Hempy did go down. You know, they have Pelzer right now in as the closer, and he's got the stuff, and he's got the juice, he's got the pitches, and he's got the capability to get guys out at the end of a game to win a game and really shorten it for you. So Pelzer right now definitely in the bullpen. You know, maybe a spot start, I don't know, we'll see, but right now the coaches have him penciled in as the closer.
With consistent performances from the pitching staff, the Gamecocks will be poised to make a trip to Omaha this June.
The Gamecocks may finally have the ace they've been looking for in junior Harris Honeycutt. Honeycutt established himself as one of the premier pitchers in the SEC during the 2006 campaign. He recorded 6 wins along with a 3.41 ERA. In 2 starts this season, Honeycutt has already posted 2 victories and hopes to continue to build on that total. Taking the mound on most Fridays, Honeycutt will lead the way on weekend series. Not only will he be looked upon to be a statistical leader, but as a captain he will be expected to be a leader in the clubhouse. This year's recruiting class brought in quite a few young pitchers, including the second highest draft pick to choose college over the pros, Nick Fuller. Honeycutt will be expected to take these newcomers under his wing.
You know, he's definitely the guy that solidified himself in that Friday slot, but, you know, things can happen, things can change, but right now he's the guy that the coaches and Coach Calvi and Coach Tanner have put in that Friday role as of this season.
Coming up next, we'll sit in with the men of the boardroom as they weigh in on their hopes and expectations for next season. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Alone and crying, boom, boom, bam. Crying, pam, pam, pam. Crying, chaka, chaka, cha. Crying is always good.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Here we go.
He'll be a senator with integrity.
He has my family's future in mind.
He cares about young people.
He's a hard worker.
He's focused.
Effective. I believe in Old Relish Packet.
We need a condiment with values.
He'll represent us well in Washington, and he is so good looking.
Old Relish Packet and I were trapped 50 miles behind enemy lines. He saved my life.
This message paid for by Citizens for Old Relish Packet.
If you're not voting, then who are you electing?
Welcome into this special edition of the Boardroom for the 2007 Baseball Preview Show. To my left, I've got Alex Riley, Daily Gamecocks sports editor, and to my right, I've got Brian Saul, the assistant sports editor of the Daily Gamecock and Carolina News extraordinaire. Guys, obviously we're talking some baseball. It's about that time to get the season cranked up into full swing. Obviously, the better program, one of the better programs, if not the best program at Carolina. Let's just talk about some hopes and expectations. Obviously, when you go to the World Series 3 years in a row, and now you have a couple down seasons, I say making it to Super Regional and the Regional, you obviously have some big expectations for the team. Alex, what's a realistic expectation for this team coming into the 2007 season?
Well, I think realistically, you can expect Omaha. I mean, you look at the depth of this team just on the bench, and then you look at the depth in the bullpen. I mean, realistically, the depth provides a shot at Omaha. Now, you look at the polls came out yesterday, and you've got the number one team in the country in now Vanderbilt, and that means the SEC is running pretty deep this year. So, I mean, it's a realistic expectation. The SEC is not going to be an easy conference to win. Carolina's not going to, steamroll through it. Expect a couple losses, even expect maybe a series loss or two, but they're still going to win it. They're still going to win the SEC, and I think that when the season's over, they should be playing somewhere out in Omaha.
A lot of young talent mixed in with a great recruiting class. Brian, what do you expect out of the Gamecocks?
I said, like he said, realistically, it's got to be Omaha. And I say we're in the driver's seat of the championship game because you look at our team, we went all the way to Super Regionals with a bunch of young players. We lost 2 position players from our last game against Georgia, and we inherited the number 1 recruiting class in the country. Mm-hmm. And there's only up to go from here, and the next step is Omaha.
Guys with a 5-1 start, they're obviously off to a pretty good start. Slip up against the Citadel on Sunday a little bit, but the offense has been clicking. The pitching staff, the starting rotation at least, has shown a lot of promise. That was a point of struggle last year. Let's talk about the newcomers here. What newcomer on this team is kind of your surprise of the 2007 that's really going to step up and surprise us, Brian?
Well, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon, but I'd have to say that it's got to be Lonnie Chisenhall. He was SEC Freshman of the Week the week before, but I just didn't expect him to be swinging such a warm bat as he has been this season, and he really carried this team, and including this weekend, he had a very nice offensive day.
Talk about Lonnie Chisenhall. He's basically setting the bar as far as offensively early in this season. I know in Wilmington he had a game where he had 2 triples and a home run, just kind of carrying this team early in the season until the bats of Smoke and Havens and those guys can heat up. Alex Riley, who's your newcomer to watch this year?
Well, I think Jay Brown has been phenomenal. What start I got to see him at when we were up in Wilmington. I mean, the guy just pitched lights out. I mean, this is a guy who came out of high school. I think he was a shortstop. He was an infielder in high school. They sent him to JUCO, and all of a sudden he becomes a pitcher. And he's done a fantastic job, I think. And I mean, got nasty stuff. He can move the ball exceptionally well. I think he's going to be real key to that depth. I mean, you look at the pitching rotation depth, and right now he's that second-day guy, and he's doing a fantastic job holding down that spot.
Great curveball on Jay Brown. Let's just talk. Let me throw out one more name as far as newcomers go. Travis Jones, going to be the table setter for this year's team, playing second base, filling in that spot where we lose a returning starter. Is Travis Jones the leadoff guy that we've kind of been missing the last couple of years that can hit for that average, but also knock some guys in from the end of the order, Brian?
He's been getting on base pretty good, and we're expecting more defensively stuff out of him than offensively. And as that leadoff hitter, as long as you continue to get on base, I mean, we got the batting order to bring him home if he gets on.
All right, guys, real quick, in a sentence or two, who's your preseason MVP for this team? I know who Justin Smoke is probably the favorite. Is he your guys' preseason MVP, Riley?
Well, I think right now the preseason MVP might be Harris Honeycutt. This guy keeps coming out and he's done 2 quality starts thus far. I mean, it's been a while since Carolina's had somebody wearing a jersey on the mound that's been that kind of lockdown guy. I think the last one might have been, David Marchbanks. Ever since then, it's just been kind of by committee. So, I mean, I think Harris Honeycutt's got the potential to be a lockdown pitcher this year and to be the guy that everybody fears on Friday afternoon.
Good pick. Brian, who's this year's Steve Pierce? Who's that guy that's really going to put the team on his back and
I think
carry him?
the Justin Smoke, like you said earlier, but I think it also depends on where Eric Hempy sits when he comes back in the rotation in March, and importantly, a catcher position between Disher and Klein. Who's really going to see most of the time, and who's willing to put forth most of the effort?
Season looks bright for the Carolina Gamecocks this year. Obviously, going to be a big favorite coming into SEC play and a favorite to go on to Omaha. This has been Capital City Sports' special edition of the Boardroom for the Baseball Preview Show. I'm Jonathan Hilliard for Brian Saul and Alex Riley. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us in our first annual Baseball Season Preview Show. The Gamecocks have their home opener February 23rd in a 3-game series against Eastern Michigan. Be sure to tune in every Thursday night at 8 on Capital City Sports for extended baseball coverage. I'm Ed Cahill. Thank you for watching.
Do you have to go number 1 or number 2?